Atheist Nomads, episode 382. Happy Thanksgiving 2020.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and I've got Lauren with me.
Hello!
All right, so...
He's drunk and I'm tired.
I'm not drunk.
You were, and you're drinking again, so that's... You will be.
We've been dieting so that, yeah.
We had pizza tonight.
He broke.
Cutting down on carbs and my alcohol tolerance has kind of gone down.
He's a cheap date.
So we had an interview lined up for the weekend to cover this week's episode that fell through because this guy just...
Oh, we'll get into it.
Yeah. He went for 15 minutes before I could get a word in edgewise, like right at the very start. It's supposed to just be a little bit of get to know each other before we start recording.
Well, he didn't know that.
That's what he'd been told, that it was going to be an interview, and I just couldn't get a word in edgewise. Finally got him to give me a chance to say something, and then tried to get him to answer one question. It took him 15 minutes for me to finally give up on him trying to answer that, and he said, yeah, this isn't for public consumption anyway. I was like, all right, well, have a nice day. And that was the
What a way... Who goes on a show to do an interview with information / ideas that you don't want published to the public?
And after having somebody that you work for, or that you have working for you, that you're paying money to, get this booked, and then blow it off like that? Yeah.
That's who I felt bad for.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then we're supposed to have another one tonight the same time that we're recording now. But then the guy realized that, that wasn't his time zone. So it would have been too late for him.
Yeah.
So we're rescheduling
Interviewing anybody at 10 o'clock at night is pretty rough.
Yep.
I would have been fine at 6, but...
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Kylie wouldn't have.
Nope. So, here we are. Wanting to go nice and casual, because this episode is going out on Thanksgiving Day 2020. This is a year of hell, and having things to be thankful for this year is definitely a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And before we get into the list of the things that we're thankful for, let's talk about what Thanksgiving's from, because this is something that I know some atheists get shit from people about is, how could you celebrate Thanksgiving? You're a fucking atheist.
Dude, it happened to me at my job at St. Luke's.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I'm so excited for Thanksgiving. She couldn't comprehend that an atheist would be excited about any holiday. So she's like, why would you celebrate Thanksgiving? You're thanking the Lord for everything. I'm like, well, no, since when?
Right.
No, you're thanking everybody around you. You're thanking the frickin' harvest. You're thanking, no.
Right, well.
You're thanking the pie. You're thanking so much pie.
You look back...
And then you go back and think another piece of pie.
And then realize, whoops, you're supposed to be on a diet.
That was one too many thank you pies. And it was like, and your food coma. Oh, it's good. It's a good holiday.
But you look back at history, and, it's one thing that's kind of interesting for us is both Lauren and I have an ancestor who was on the Mayflower, which means Kylie actually has two ancestors that was on the Mayflower.
Yeah. Mine was Dodie, and yours was...
Mine was Dodie.
Oh, yours was Dodie.
Mine was somebody else.
I thought mine was Dodie.
No, mine's Edward Dodie.
Okay. Oh, okay. I don't remember which ancestor that was, but my mom would be terrified.
So offended.
Yeah,
But yeah, so it was our two ancestors were like some of 60 people at that point at what would have been the theoretical first Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Where the survivors of the Mayflower, been a super rough year. They made it through the winter. They had food. They got help from the locals. They helped the locals with some wars. The locals helped them with some wars. And then they got together and they had a large communal meal together. Everybody thanking each other, both in the Commonwealth they were forming and their allies that had been living in the area forever.
Yeah.
And that's what the Thanksgiving was about. It wasn't about a higher power. It was about thanking their friends that had helped them get through the year and helped them survive.
Yeah.
When
there's nothing that, I understand how it got hijacked to be religious, but I never thought of Thanksgiving as anything but a secular holiday.
And I grew up devoutly religious, and Thanksgiving and 4th of July were both those were the and New Year's were like the big secular holidays.
Yeah.
But I also grew up Adventist, which was kind of still getting over its anti-holiday sentiments, where even
so
Christmas
wrong.
was secular at that point.
Yeah.
Christmas and Easter were secular holidays to me growing up because those were Catholic bullshit that had been Americanized and were just fun. And so basically just, but Thanksgiving.
At that point, whatever your school allows you to celebrate,
Yeah.
whatever that month's holiday is, because every month has got to have a holiday for kindergartners to keep track of time.
But Thanksgiving is definitely one of those that it is at its core a very secular holiday. Yes, there are people for whom it is very meaningful for them to use it as a time to thank their imaginary friend, but it's also good for everyone to be grateful and thankful for the people who helped them get through the year.
Joseph Roberts was my ancestor.
Oh, you just asked your mom.
Yep. Two brothers came over.
Hey, Dustin coming in from editing. We looked at this a little closer, and it wasn't two brothers. It was a father and son. The father didn't make it through the winter. The son died in old age.
Thomas died the first winter. So Joseph survived, was 18.
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah.
Survived the first winter, lost his brother. Yes. You would be thankful for
Right.
the people who got you through. Hooray for the pre-Columbian exchange. That's what I think Thanksgiving really is. It's just a celebration of North American foods.
And it really is when you look at the foods.
Pumpkin,
Pumpkin,
squash, sweet potatoes,
potatoes,
cranberries. I mean, it's turkey. Yeah.
These are all New World.
Corn.
Yep. All New World foods. It's also a awesome time to be able to get together with family in most years, which is also an important thing.
Yeah. I haven't been able to see family for Thanksgiving for a few years. So we have surrogate family here in the Boise region that took us in for Thanksgiving holidays. And while it sucks not being able to see them this year, a lot of people this year's going to be tough. Mm-hmm. But at least we're alive.
Well, and when you look at the big two family holidays in the winter, yes, they are really close together, which does suck. It would be great if Thanksgiving was, say, around the same time of the Canadian form of Thanksgiving.
Too close to Halloween.
But
it would have to be mid-November, a week earlier.
But anyway, it is also helpful for couples and people and families with children to, like, last year we went to your parents' house for Thanksgiving. No, we went to your parents' was Christmas. We were supposed to go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving, but there was a giant storm.
Yeah,
that would have killed us. Yeah, that was one where, because we are reasonable people, when the government of Oregon says, please do not come here,
we listen.
For your own safety, we listen.
When nature speaks, we listen.
But it's always been one of my favorite. Thanksgiving has always been my favorite winter holiday. It's still my favorite winter holiday, and I think it is one that atheists should be super proud to celebrate and take back that Thanksgiving mentality of, yes, I am thankful for things because people made it happen. And sometimes you're thankful for how good your community is because you love your community. And if you could, you would like to just thank everybody in your community for being awesome. You don't need a God to be involved in that.
No. In fact, I think God takes away from it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thank the Lord for food at the food bank. It's like, no, thank the people who donated. There's a person behind every act, everything that people are thankful for, stereotypically anyway. And it's just like, well, what about the people that made that happen?
Yeah.
Don't forget them. Of course, we don't go and hand out pie to everybody we've ever come across either.
Right.
But this year's tough because you shouldn't be traveling because there is a virus, little thing called COVID-19 that's going around, and it does kill people. So
the CDC director's latest soundbite on it, which I could look up and actually play, but I don't think is necessary, is, if you want to travel and have a big family Thanksgiving, get ready for an ICU Christmas.
Yeah.
That's assuming there's room in an ICU for you or your family members to get to.
Well, not in Utah.
Nope. And pretty soon not here either.
Yeah, we tried the libertarian way. Okay, we asked people to mind their manners, and they're not doing it. So now we're going to go towards the more slightly fascist way of telling them, okay, you need to not do this. You need to not infect other people. And, well, they're not doing that either.
Now, and yes, it was somebody on the Facebook page who said that was fascist to threaten to jail people for not wearing masks. That's missing some of the nuance that it is if you are going into a business indoors, because masks are required to go into any business, that you are trespassing if the business tells you to leave. And if the business doesn't tell you you need to leave, then they are likely to lose their license.
Yeah.
That is not fascist. That is public health orders. Those are a thing as old as civilization.
Yeah. Of course, that's only if you take COVID seriously. If you think it's this is just an overrated, stomach bug, then you're not going to, you are going to think this is fascist. It's not political.
Yeah. And in the city of Boise, it is, it went into effect on Monday that if you see people in a store without face masks, you should talk to the employees there. And if they don't try to do anything about it, then you call the city and complain.
Yeah.
They've got a special hotline for handling that. And then the city will go and educate them. And if they continue getting more complaints, then the city will revoke their business license.
Right.
They want businesses to enforce wearing masks inside the business. And if people refuse, to call the police and get them trespassed off the property.
Yeah. Try to do everything as on the down low as possible, though. Because snitches get stitches.
Oh, and of course, this did get the mayor of Boise a Hammond Bundy protest outside of her house.
Yeah. Who is paying for that?
Okay, so back to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I have a list prepared of things that I am thankful for.
Shit. I mean, okay, yeah, I am also mentally prepared for this.
Some are directly podcast related and some are not. But in all practicality, they almost...
Are you just going to read off a list?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, you were.
No.
Okay, first item.
First one, I am so glad that Kylie is a healthy, happy, and well-adjusted almost 3-year-old.
Yes, we're very, very lucky to have the best 3-year-old in the world, even when she does scratch my face.
Yeah.
God.
That sucks.
She did not want to leave the toilet. She was not ready to go.
Nope. And I am, I guess, thankful of Lauren's doctors that you're doing better.
I'm doing better. And in reciprocity, in return, thank you for getting doctors to actually listen. If you hadn't gone over their heads, and called the director, I wouldn't have even gotten in for an appointment.
Well, okay, so that was one of those where I work with a lot of, like, I am technically a low-level specialist at the hospital, but I am regional staff. And when you are in a technical specialist role, you interact with mostly with managers, directors, VPs, and sometimes presidents. And with health systems, there are a ridiculous number of VPs and presidents and CEOs. And I was getting fed up with how Lauren was not getting better and didn't seem like you were ever going to get the help you needed to get better. And I had just done some training of some of the clinic managers and the director over a bunch of the clinics. And I was like, hey, could you help me out with this? And yeah, within an hour, Lauren had 3 appointments.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I do attribute that to, that's luck, that we were lucky. I'm lucky that Dustin has to happen to have that kind of job where he talks to those people. Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
And people die because they don't have access to their doctors.
Now, that is also one of the points that brings up is if you are in a situation where you aren't getting the care that you need, file a complaint. managers and directors look at those complaints and don't like them. They want to get everything fixed.
It's another notification that they want to ignore, but they can't because they have to file reports about it.
And a lot of facilities actually have director or higher being the ones that get the complaints. And no clinic manager wants to find out from their director that a patient has fallen through the cracks.
And that's what my case was. It was a case of a couple specialists juggling me around and eventually just...
And then COVID.
So at the end, if you feel like you fell through the cracks, you've got to contact somebody other than your doctor. They're going to try and get you in, but
if your doctor's at a small independent clinic, just ask for the clinic administrator or practice manager. That's who can help with that kind of scheduling stuff. If it's part of a medical group, call the main office of the medical group. If it's owned by a hospital, you can call the hospital.
Because we are patients, but we're also customers.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying these people a lot of money to take care of you, and if they keep hunting the ball down, then you have that right.
My next one is I am very thankful that my parents are taking the pandemic very seriously.
I feel bad for them. They're far away enough from town that they don't have a whole lot of a social life anyway.
Yeah.
And then to restrict their visits to family every once in a while. God, I don't think they've even done that very much. It's been...
They get to see Tammy and Zach fairly regularly.
Yeah, he wears a face mask and a mask.
And they keep it outside.
They're doing everything correctly.
But
they're high risk.
Yeah. My mom is very high risk, having just a couple of years ago, having had a triple bypass. She is about as high risk as you can get. But despite them taking it very seriously, we were able to work out quarantining and got to have an amazing trip to the John Day fossil beds together.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And if both sides hadn't agreed to, being shut-ins for several weeks, we wouldn't have been able to do it. And a lot of people are planning on doing that for Thanksgiving. The problem with the Thanksgiving holiday is that you do tend to mix family groups. It's not just you visiting your parents. Yeah. It's you visiting your parents and your siblings and your aunts and uncles. And that's where you get into trouble.
Yeah.
If it's just the one family and you're both quarantined, it's fine.
Oh, and the other thing about that John Day Fossil Beds trip was it was in September when our COVID rates were the lowest here that they've been since July.
Yeah. And now we're back up to higher than we were in July.
Yeah. If I would not, under any circumstances, visit my parents with the numbers as high as they are now.
Oh my God. Have you seen those things? But, this could be your relative's last Thanksgiving. Don't you want to be there for them?
Do you want to make sure it's their last Thanksgiving?
That's basically the point.
Yeah. Show up and it will be.
Yeah, that's incredibly selfish. And using elderly relatives as an excuse is a terrible thing to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I've been able to work from home.
Yeah. Although the chances of catching anything at the hospital proper is pretty low.
It is very low. But part of why they keep that low is by having as many people as they can not working in the hospital.
Yeah.
That is a big part of it.
I think your efficiency's probably gone up.
No.
No, you're still bogged down in those stupid meetings.
But it's also been helpful with, while we're doing worse earlier this year, being here to help was good. And it also allowed me to see things that you weren't awake enough to notice.
That I wasn't reporting. It's really hard to tell your doctor things when you're not aware enough of them happening.
Yeah. I'm also really thankful my boss got me and my teammate a raise that was processed through like 3 days before everybody was on mandatory work from home and they were starting to furlough people.
Ugh, that was amazing that you got that.
It barely, we were on lockdown when that first paycheck came in with that raise.
She went to bat for you. That was awesome.
And once it makes it through the 3 or 4 committees to get approved, nobody's going back on that.
No.
It's by that point, it's been signed off by 15 directors and VPs and C-level people, and yeah, they're not going back on that. I am Lauren. I want to thank you for helping so much with the show, especially despite your health issues.
Yeah, you do miss my sound effects. Boop, boop, boop. It's harder to do with Kylie sleeping in the next room.
Oh, but we've been having
soundboard.
To record.
We're getting there.
We've been having to record late.
Yep.
And that is really hard for you. And
I'm usually in bed by now.
No, you aren't. You're usually not really conscious, but you're not in bed.
There was a lot of this summer that I was going to bed at 8:30.
Okay, yeah.
So, yes. Well, thank you. You're welcome. I know that it's the podcast is hard to do. It's hard to, and it's always harder to listen to a single person talk than banter.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we have a lot of banter.
Yeah. This is a show that needs that. Not every show needs it. This is one that by design does.
Yeah. You're not lecturing on a particular subject.
Right.
You're talking about stuff. And sometimes it's nice to have a differing opinion.
Mm-hmm. Patrons, I want to thank you all for your support.
Oh my gosh, me too. That's a good one.
We have lost way fewer patrons than I have expected over the year, and we have gained more in that time period. This has been a hard year financially for a lot of people, and I know across all of Patreon, patronage is down.
Yeah.
A lot. I know from the survey that we did a couple years ago that our listener base tends to be financially pretty stable, and the higher paid somebody is, the more likely they kept their job through all this.
Yeah.
So that probably means that most of our listeners kept their jobs.
We're very lucky to have a good demographic when it comes to money.
Yeah.
That's beside the point.
But it's been, and also with the show just being more difficult to keep up with this year. The continued support has been definitely strongly encouraging me to persevere.
Yeah, this was, I mean, we're hitting the tail end of a certain administration, and everybody was just gasping by the end of that. So I know it's been difficult for any podcast that is based on news, and for any listeners who are not based in the US. This is hard.
Yeah. And also everybody who's listening. Thank you.
Yeah. That's most of our numbers are the people who are just listening, and that's cool. That's awesome.
And it's steady numbers, and that keeps me knowing that we're doing things well.
Yep. Shout out to the mother truckers for the one. But yes, all of the listeners, you guys are, if you're stuck at home, you're bored out of your mind, you're needing something just keep you going. I'm glad that you choose us. Or if you're, on your commute, or if it's just for entertainment purposes, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great way to expand your worldview in one case, and or listen to the echo chamber in the other.
Yeah. Studio upgrades are always fun, and I got to do some this year.
Yay!
So that's good. And this mixer, the Zoom LiveTrack L8, is a real dream to use.
It actually looks like audio equipment. Like beyond just a microphone, it's got blinking lights. It's got sliders and
knobs,
buttons and switches. It's like, oh, I want to mess with it so bad.
And we're fortunate that Kylie hasn't messed with it much.
Yeah.
One of the nice things is most of the settings are digital, so when you turn it off, Kylie can move the sliders all she wants and nothing happens. And then when you turn it back on, it remembers where they were.
Yeah.
The knobs are a little different, but the sliders, yeah. And I got a new laptop, which is new to me. It's a Lenovo X260, so it's used off-lease corporate gear, but it's awesome, and I'm really enjoying it for doing editing from a recliner.
Yeah, we've been hanging out in the living room a lot more since he brought the recliner out. I got a recliner for myself. It's fun. It's always fun. A friend of mine came over, somebody who's actually a listener. She's like, "Did you change?"
Patron.
Yes. How often do you change your living room? I'm like, oh, well, about as often as you come over.
Yeah.
Whose dog is a dream, by the way, even if she is a little needy.
And we've also been able to do remote interviews and the stimulus money and selling some old gear and stuff is allowed doing some of these purchases. And that has been, and just the general podcast money that comes in. I always set aside some of that for upgrades, and we've been able to work on the video setup and improving our remote interview setup to allow video much better.
Yeah.
On the TV in the living room.
Pretty cool.
And it is really nice for doing socially distant interviews and guests, and it makes it feel like they're in the living room with us.
Yeah, you react to people's faces a lot more than you give yourselves credit for.
Yeah, that's the list.
All right.
We do have some news. For our first story, a new poll of Trump voters, specifically Trump supporters. There is a distinction there.
Okay, so these are the rabid fans?
These are the rabid fans.
Okay.
Who the 30% in most polls who have always supported President Trump regardless.
Okay. The craze.
So of them in this, according to this Occidental Public Polling Survey, 65% of them believe that Democrats collaborated with blank to win the election.
Yep.
Who do you think blank is? Yeah, I'll make it multiple choice for you.
Okay.
Is it
Russia,
China, Hugo Chavez, or Satan? Satan is correct.
Satan. Oh my God. Of course. We're always cavorting with Satan.
And actually, I haven't heard anybody on the right claiming Russia helped Democrats. They all know that Russia was helping Trump, so they wouldn't say that. Iran would have been the better other one to have on that list. There have been claims that China was interfering. There have been claims that Iran, North Korea.
No, just Satan.
Sidney Powell, who is the current legal counsel for the Trump campaign, who was Michael Flynn's lawyer, in a stream of crazy consciousness, claimed that Cuba and Venezuela were funding Democrats and that Hugo Chavez was leading that to try to get communist support for communist policies from Democrats. What's funny there is Hugo Chavez died in 2013.
That's awesome. The ghost of Hugo Chavez is a Democrat.
And Venezuela's economy is in complete shambles and has been for quite a while. So, yeah, they aren't...
So we're not based in reality.
You want to know what that's based in? Red Dawn.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Red Dawn. It's Venezuela and Cuba.
Yep.
Invading the U.S. so the Russians can come in.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But no, in this survey, the Democrats collaborated with Satan to win the election.
Okay. Apparently it worked. Boise, Idaho now has a brand new chapter of the Satanic Temple starting up. So I've asked them if they want to come on the show. They have to go through their media training first.
Okay.
They're brand spanking new.
Yeah.
So they are accepting pre-orders for the t-shirts though. And there is a part of me who wants to get a sticker and put it on the front door so this annoying little neighborhood kid will stop coming around because his mom's a Jesus freak. Maybe that'll keep him away.
Oh, man. No, that probably wouldn't.
He probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah. Oh, man. All we need to do is order one of the Satanic Temple books for children.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to him. His mom will see it and flip out.
That's great. Oh, except for she would probably do something to him. And I don't want that to happen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He is just a kid.
Yep. Never mind that.
And Jesus freaks are terrible people sometimes.
Yeah. And in this survey, they also found that 78% believed that mail-in voting led to widespread voter fraud. 72% believed that ballots were tampered with. And 84% of the people who thought the election was unfair, so 84% of the 78% believed that it benefited Biden.
Yeah. So it's basically and what's funny is it's some people are like, the Democrats made such a big deal about 2016. Now that we're suffering, nobody wants to hear us. It's like, that's because the Democrats in 2016 had legit issues that were backed up by proof.
Legit issues, but also didn't push recount after recount after recount. Hillary Clinton conceded before the morning of the day after Election Day. Like, Democrats didn't do any of this in 2016. They investigated foreign influence.
You mean the prolonged temper tantrum?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the difference in the type of politician that you elect.
OANN. Are you familiar with this? Also heard it referred to as OAN.
No. What is it?
One America News Network.
Oh, yes. This is, yeah.
It is news for people who think that Fox News has a liberal bias. YouTube has suspended their account, not allowing them to post videos for 1 week, and has kicked them out of the YouTube Partner Program, which means they can't make money off of videos. They will be eligible after their suspension is over to apply again for the Partner Program.
What got them kicked off?
Well, they'd already had warnings.
Yeah.
And they'd exhausted all of their warnings, so this was their first strike. They were promoting a fake COVID cure.
Oh, no. Oh, don't do that, people. Was it Jesus?
No.
No.
But yeah, COVID misinformation is YouTube's biggest no-go.
Yeah.
And this was not the first time they got in trouble for COVID misinformation. If my understanding is correct, it's that with YouTube, you can get a whole bunch of strikes for different things, especially if you're a big channel or likely to get them called before Congress for anti-conservative bias.
Yeah.
So you can have your racist strikes and your COVID misinformation strikes and your copyright infringement strikes. But yeah, they're hitting the COVID misinformation.
Good.
Yeah. Now, this has brought up some questions as to why has Fox News not gotten strikes for spreading COVID misinformation. And the critical distinction there is YouTube categorizes Fox News as a actual news media organization. One American News Network is not categorized as a legitimate news organization.
Right. Fake news.
It's like MSNBC can get away with saying stuff that would get the Young Turks in trouble because the Young Turks is not part of the mainstream media.
They shouldn't be allowed to say that either, though. I mean, Fox shouldn't be...
No, they shouldn't.
Ugh, whatever.
Last month, Bishop Amfilohoje Radovic of the Serbian Orthodox Church died of COVID. He was 82 years old and had been going through weeks of COVID-related health issues and then finally died. So then a few days later, and in a lot of Eastern Orthodox traditions, they don't do embalming. So this would have been probably 2 or 3 days later. They had a funeral, open casket. The 90-year-old head of the Serbian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Erik, was there, as well as several hundred other people, all packed in. Almost nobody wore masks. Many of the people there kissed the corpse.
I can see where this is going, and I'm both incredibly sad and laughing my head off.
Corpses of somebody with COVID are still contagious.
Yeah, the disease doesn't die as soon as the host dies.
No, it is one of those that, like, people working in morgues with COVID patients have to be in full hazmat gear. It's, or at least full respiratory, the same precautions they would need to do to be taking care of a living COVID patient. Patriarch Erik died. He caught the virus, was taken to the hospital and
okay. No open casket. It's probably not great.
Don't do open casket's a bad idea.
Actually, what and if anybody dies of disease, you burn the body. That's like survival 101.
Right. Plague?
Zombies?
But throughout history, the places where they burn the bodies of people who die of whatever plague is coming through are the places that have the least death. Those who continue their standard burial processes,
making out with corpses,
kissing foreheads and hands, those are the ones that die.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but also laughing my head off. Zombies.
Fresno. Bishop Joseph Brennan of the Diocese of Fresno is urging Catholics to, quote, I try to maintain a joyful spirit, so I don't like to rain on anyone's parade. But I'm going to rain on a parade today. The vaccine parade.
No boy.
Some of the vaccines that are nearing emergency use authorization were developed using fetal stem cells.
I mean, it's one of those things where most people are desperate enough that they're going to back away from the anti-vax stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be somebody there to bring it back up.
So he's encouraging Catholics to not get those shots.
Yeah, never mind the fact that these cells have been cloned for how many years now?
From the 70s?
I mean, they're not like fresh baby cells. Yeah. Oh my God. So
this is stupid.
It is stupid.
It's
just co-opting COVID to push another agenda.
It is, but now so on the one hand, I applaud him for being consistent with his values.
At least he's sticking to his guns, right? That's
not a popular thing to say. It's would be a difficult thing for anybody to say in the middle of a pandemic when it's the way out. And so kudos to him for saying that. On the other hand, that is as bullshit as when my brother said he couldn't get a flu shot because it used eggs, and so flu shots aren't vegan.
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit.
Oh, man. Grudges, people. This is why Thanksgiving at home is going to be a blessing this year.
For conservatives who are concerned about the likes of Facebook and Twitter being, having such a strong liberal bias and all of this anti-conservative bias, they can leave and go to Parler.
God, Parler, not good people.
Which already has Senators Rand Paul and Ted Cruz. This is despite the fact that not only do Facebook and Twitter not have conservative biases, but Facebook and Twitter are both bending over backwards to go as easy on conservatives as they can without letting their platforms become even more of dumpster fires than they already are. Parler is designed to be the opposite of that, where
the end all of dumpster fires.
Yeah, unless you happen to be a liberal.
Where they're handing you cans of gasoline.
Unless you happen to be a liberal and you show up on there trying to troll the conservatives, in which case you'll get banned. Quickly.
Yeah.
So
they need their safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you hear anybody drop anything about Parler, just don't.
No, that's all we got for news.
Oh, there was one interesting thing. The top judiciary Democrat, Sheila Feinstein, she's agreed to step down because of her handling of Barrett's nomination.
Dianne Feinstein?
Dianne Feinstein. Yes. She was seen hugging Lindsey Graham after her confirmation. She was not the... It was basically every Democrat's fear is that the Democrats weren't going to be strong enough. Weren't going to be aggressive enough. And she was exactly that.
Oh, wow.
She was being civil and was trying to do things the old way. And Republicans don't do that anymore.
Yep.
So being friends with your enemies doesn't get you anywhere. I think she's recognized that the field is a different game now. So she's stepping down.
Yeah.
It's too bad. It's too little, too late kind of thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens to this judiciary system in the next couple of years. Feedback?
Mm-hmm. I am sorry that I keep being a week behind on feedback. It's not intentional, but it keeps happening.
Are you kidding? He actually mentioned Facebook in this episode. That's a first. Well, not a first, but that's been a hard one to keep up on.
So in response to last week's episode, we got on YouTube, Viva Yorump, Viva USA, God bless Trump.
Viva la Rump?
YRUMP. It was a keying error that spell check didn't pick up on.
Oh, okay. So we have a Trumpster listener or
somebody random commenter on YouTube.
Oh, probably. I can't imagine if you don't at least somewhat lean towards the policies that we spout out on this show, that you can stand listening to us.
Yeah.
So we're pretty left-wing liberal socialists, all the bad words.
Okay, so that wasn't real feedback.
Freeville of Trump. I like that.
Oh yeah, so there was all caps, the 2 hilarious keying errors, 3 hilarious keying errors.
Oh, it has. That's a troll, definitely.
The Y instead of a T for the first Trump. U period S comma A comma.
Okay.
So somebody angrily pounding on the keyboard and moving on.
Or pretending to pound on the keyboard. That's all right. We'll move on as well.
Yes. From Vinur. Hi, Dustin and Lauren. Love the show. Great hearing about Denmark. Even though not the so positive mink news. Welcome
to Idaho.
My name is Finn Nielsen. I am a Faroese guy living in southern Jutland, Denmark. Though I haven't gone through the entire backlog yet, I have been binging for a while. And he's a atheist and a podcast editor.
Nice.
So, Ben, thank you for the message.
Dustin had to give me a bit of a lesson on geography. And my world is bigger now because of it.
Yeah. That is pretty cool that we have a listener who lives in Denmark who's from the Faroe Islands.
That's really cool.
That's really awesome. I know we get listens, get downloads from Denmark, but yeah, I love hearing feedback from the places we talk about.
Yeah. I like hearing feedback from anywhere.
Yeah.
Any feedback is great. Yeah. We love it.
Especially when they confirm things that I say about those countries.
Especially when they agree with me.
Yeah. If you want to contact us, you can do so using the feedback form on the website at atheistnomads.com/contact, or you can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com. And if you want to support the show, you can find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate, or just go to patreon.com/atheistnomads. And again, patrons, listeners, and especially Lauren, thank you. And remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.